Julie sounds off. Hi everyone. Before we start, just because I've had my fingers burned recently in another webinar, could someone who's not Francine give us a wave and a hello that you can hear us and see us? Ah, nice. Fantastic. And please feel free to turn your cameras on. We'd love to see you.
Thanks, Brenda. We'd love to see you too. Please feel free to turn your cameras on.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We've hit start on the webinar, so I'd like to welcome you all to this very exciting introduction to a project and an online resource that has taken hundreds of hours on the parts of many many people over the last couple of years. My name is Chris Colgate. I'm Senior Policy Advisor for the Community Policy team here at WALGA, and I'm joined by my manager, Hannah Godsave. And I'd like to especially welcome Francine from Reconciliation WA, who has been our comrade on this journey all the way through, particularly with the intensive work this year to finalise the project. So first of all, I'll kick off by acknowledging that we, Hannah and I, are joining you from the lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people, and I'd like to pay my respects to their elders past and present. And WALGA's work regularly takes us across the state, and as such we'd like to acknowledge the lands on which you join us from today and those throughout WA. We pay respect to your elders as well. I'd like to pay special acknowledgement to First Nations local government officers and elected members that might be joining us on the webinar today, and thank you for all your support in the work that we do. So today is a very exciting day where we get to show off a brand new online resource called Kolbang Yanginy, which is Noongar words which translated mean going forward and sharing. And this site is a collaborative project. It's been led by Reconciliation WA, but with collaboration and partnership from the departments of Premier and Cabinet, Planning, Lands and Heritage, Local Government, Industry Regulation and Safety. I'm doing well after the government agency name changes. Have I missed any? And with funding support from Lotterywest. Please call out if I've missed any of them, Francine. Today, what we're hoping to do is give you a tour through the website to show you the scope of information available, some of the tools that you can access to support your local government's work in the areas of reconciliation, action planning, but also in all sorts of different operating contexts. We know that work engaging with Aboriginal community and trying to really progress and transform relationships between local government and mob happens in all different contexts, whether it might be your planners, people looking after your roads, your environment teams, your environmental health teams, it just happens in very dynamic and diverse ways. We're also really conscious that local governments are diverse across WA. We have huge metropolitan local governments that have whole teams engaged in this work and really mobilised around your reconciliation action plan processes. And then other smaller non-metro, often, you know, very working with just a few employees, also kicking goals in this space, but perhaps looking for some resources and opportunities to share information, access best practice examples and case studies that might inspire you and your executive teams and your elected members to try something new and push the boundaries a little bit in this space. So I'll hand over to Francine, who's going to essentially give us a tour around the website and show you all the different elements and tools that are embedded within it. So I'll pass over to Francine.
Thanks, Chris, and I'm just going to share a PowerPoint and hopefully that will come through, and I'm going to add a spotlight so you can see me talking at all times. So not that I like to spotlight myself, but there we go. I'm going to do it. So Kai, everyone, lovely to meet you all. And I'm going to flip a little bit between a presentation, PowerPoint here, and then obviously a live share screen of the site. But just to touch a little bit more on the background, as Chris has shared about Kolbang Yanginy and how it came to be, and just so that we've got can make sure before we kind of jump on, and I hope everybody has had a look online and navigated through, I might answer some of the initial questions that might come through. So I'd also just like to acknowledge, you know, following on from Chris's acknowledgement of country, that, yeah, pay my respects to custodians across this beautiful state of ours that have cared for country for over 65,000 years and continue to do so, and to extend that acknowledgement to any Aboriginal persons joining us online today or within your teams, and thank them for their support, resilience and connection that continues to walk alongside us and educate us and continues to make us feel a little bit more connected to country and Budja. I'm I am a non-Aboriginal person, and as I've been introduced, I work with Reconciliation WA as the General Manager for Members, Partners and Engagement. Very long title, I don't know how that happened, and was the project lead on Kolbang Yanginy for our team as well. I also extended acknowledgement to the Banjara people of the land that I call home, and thank them for every morning providing me with a beautiful budja that I can ground and connect and reset with. So I'm just going to give a little quick fly through about, I guess, the background to Kolbang Yanginy and this project that Chris touched on, and Hannah has been a couple of years in the making, and it's actually seen a few iterations of departments' involvement. But as we like to say here at Rec WA, reconciliation is everybody's business. So whether you're joining us today as someone new to this space, someone really experienced in this space, someone a little unsure in this space, thank you. Your commitment and willingness to be open and to learn and to experience shows that you're on this journey with us. And I strongly do believe that our way forward as a nation and as a state is to have reconciliation first and foremost in our decision making, and ways that we can walk together and embed cultural practice. So as we mentioned, Kolbang Yanginy is the local government reconciliation resource. Some of you might have heard that name out there before. It originally was called the Local Government Reconciliation Resource, and prior to that, actually the Local Government Reconciliation Framework. So it's had a few iterations, but we felt it was really important when we started on this journey that the resource was given a cultural name that, and obviously acknowledging that there's so many different mob and countries across our beautiful state, as it is hosted on Wajak Noongar Budja, and I'll come to that in a moment. The name was done in partnership with a local authority. It is a multi-agency partnership, and we're really excited that it's available for everybody to have a review of and to give us feedback on, but also that it showcases some of the incredible partnerships and collaboration we've already been part of in our journey with Kolbang Yanginy, which in turn is working with the incredible artists and the graphic designers that have helped bring this website to life. I am going to play a quick video for you. Please let me know if sound comes through, just a little thumbs up. Always little tech challenges when you do sound from one room to another. So if you don't hear kind of a bit of a Yidaki background, tell me and I'll stop because I'll hear it. But yeah, let's see how we go. Yeah, beautiful.
Be quiet.
Just a quick little intro from our wonderful CEO, Jodie Nunn. And that was for those eagle eyes amongst us. You will notice that some of the graphics and images are a little bit different to the final resource that we have shared, because part of that refinement journey was updating it to make it more relevant to the sector and making sure that the resource that we shared actually had meaning for each and every one of you. So we've talked a little bit about the name going forward and sharing in Noongar, and as we said, it's hosted on Wajak Noongar Budja. That's where our offices are up here, and so we collaborated with the wonderful Alison Nanup from the Noongar Budja Language Cultural Aboriginal Corporation, and she provided us with some options for a name, and that was, so the resource has come forward with this beautiful name of Going Forward Sharing, which we feel really echoes the sentiment of the work that we do in communities and that we do in place, about sharing our stories, sharing our connections, sharing our culture, and how we can walk forward together. So that was a little bit of the background towards that. We talked a little bit about the artists and the artwork, but I do think I do like to profile it, and because the work of Emily Rose and Robin Jean is simply incredible, and I think it really absolutely, it also helped shape some of the conversations and the content and how we placed things on the website because of their commitment to the vision. They did do a review of some of the content as well, and we really worked in partner with them as well to make sure that some of the graphic designs that they were creating were reflective of the key themes and the messages and the titles that we did. And obviously, as you can see here, they came up with this wonderful kind of, the logo at the top here is like the circle of life, the water, the trees, the ground, and the artwork. But then you'll see, I'm just going to do a quick 2 seconds. I know not everybody's if you haven't muted yourself, someone's not on mute. That's all right. I'll do a little scan through to see if I can find you, only because if you cough, that's all right. So that's a little bit of the background there. But Robin and Emily are a mother-daughter duo that has worked together. So it's a beautiful kind of matriarchal family essence and sharing of culture and story that they've brought to the website. And the photography that we also showcase on the website is from Robin Jean and is taken from her travels across the state in WA. So everything on that website has been done in partnership and collaboration with these artists to help us with this journey. It does support the theme of collaboration and the passage of time, and you can read more about that, and I'll do a fly through. Don't worry, you're not going to have to watch a PowerPoint for too long. We are going to do a fly through, and where you can actually have a look at finding out more about this information on the actual resource itself. So one of the key messages that you are going to see when we jump onto the website is about how you can start your reconciliation journey. So I guess the ethos or the underlying premise that all of the partners worked towards was how we can help people that are starting their journey or already on their journey or advancing in their journey to strengthen relationships between Aboriginal people and the wider community. It is about the benefit for all West Australians and about creating lasting change. And being based on authentic, trusting and respectful relationships. So that was kind of just underpinning a lot of the work that we did. And whilst we did obviously bring together information and knowledge that is already existing, a lot of the content on this website isn't new. You currently can find it on key partners' websites. So if you head up to DPC or to now it's Legers or Algiers, sorry, I call it Legers, or SITS or to DPLH, you will find this information there. But we wanted to bring all of that knowledge and information relating to reconciliation in place, and particularly in local government, together onto a resource to kind of save you a little bit of that Googling and searching and dynamic research, whereas instead you can kind of review it and go a little bit on a journey through the website, but also on your own learning and information journey. So that's just a little bit about how it goes. As I said, we have 5 key themes, and we did kind of play around with these a little bit. And for the eagle eyes amongst you, feel free to go back to the video and see what they might have been before they got slightly updated. But as I said, the pillars were there still to underpin the work that you do in local government. So the idea behind these 5 key themes is to kind of deep dive into the work that you as your staff or elected members might need support, or where it kind of aligns with your roles and your position descriptions. So we start on a reconciliation pathway or a key theme, moving into placemaking, partnerships, people, and then native title and heritage. And the little icons that you'll see above, as you can see on the screen there, these were designed with those names in mind. So it's a beautiful kind of element that Robin and Emily brought to this resource. We also showcase case studies on the website. There's about, I'm not quite sure how many there is, to be honest, and a few videos of some great examples of collaborative work happening already in local government. And we know there's so many more than just this already happening out there. This was just the wonderful local governments that shared those with us in those first instances. As part of this ongoing journey of maintaining and updating the website and resource, there is an opportunity for local governments to continue to share their case studies, and then on regular reviews, it won't be done immediately, but on regular reviews, we'll be looking at how we can action and embed those so that we can continue that cycle of learning and journey. And we encourage you to reach out to, if you read these case studies and have any questions, to reach out to that local government and ask questions, to be inspired and to kind of see how you could maybe replicate that partnership or learn from some of their learnings and work that they've done in that space. There is a mapping feature on the website too. We designed it in collaboration with Winyama, who is an Aboriginal owned and led cultural mapping technology and data solutions organisation. And yes, I read that off the slide. Winyama does an incredible amount of work across the state. And I will say this project of mapping kind of became a little bit of a beast on its own, if I'm for want of a purpose, because we started in one direction, which was, and then we pivoted very quickly, and we utilised the knowledge and the cultural connection to country from Andrew and the team. Andrew and Grady were our key designers at Winyama, and they really did guide us and lead us as to how they felt we could develop this map, and it could share some of the information out there. Oh, I'm boring someone already. They're already yawning. So as we said, we do welcome your feedback and case study for considerations and I'm about to hand over to the website to have a fly through. It's on a review cycle. If there's anything kind of critical, of course, we will look to update that as soon as we can. But otherwise, we have kind of a 3-monthly or review cycle where any kind of feedback or any suggestions or alterations or case studies can be added to the website to keep it relevant and active. So, and there is links obviously on the actual website for you to click to. So I'm just going to swap my screen, and hopefully now you are seeing the acknowledgement to country. And apologies, my eyes might be a little bit swapping over this side now while I'm watching my screen. So we are actually now on Kolbang Yanginy, and to be honest, we're on the wrong site. So just give me 2 seconds. You can tell I've opened Kolbang up way too many times in that my browser has defaulted to the, there we go. My browser has defaulted to the admin site, but we don't want admin, we want to show you. So this is, there is an acknowledgement of country, which is pretty standard for most of our resources that we create here at Rec WA and with our partners. So this is your landing page on Kolbang Yanginy, and I'm sure you've all had a little fly through it. And if not, then I encourage you to do so. So hopefully I can just give you some top level overview and insights as to how you can navigate through this platform, where you can find information and where you can reach out for follow-up. So most obviously you've got some little headers across the top here. Key of importance, I guess, for me to show you just up the top here is there is a link to the map, and I will come to showing you that at the moment. That information I shared earlier about the why we developed this and why we feel it's important to local government is under the about section. So it talks about, you know, I guess our ethos and the intentions behind creating this resource. But it also very importantly just highlights that this resource was created with some of the Local Government Act of 1995 changes, and this is spotlighted on this page about the need to connect and engage and collaborate with Aboriginal communities within your local government is now a legislative function. So we do kind of, that was kind of one of, I guess, the underpinning principles of ensuring that the information that was provided was to kind of guide and provide opportunities for you to better understand ways you can connect and engage to ensure that you are adhering to this legislation. So then if you scroll down the pages, it's a scroller. Some of the pages are long, and I guess that's the difference between a non-government and a government website. Non-government tends to sometimes have a little bit more fluff in it, just to kind of keep you engaged. So we explain the name a little bit, which I've already talked through. We get some lovely images of Emily and Robin and a little bit further detail of their background and ways you can learn that more. You get a little bit, and you'll see the tiles move with it, a little bit more understanding of the artwork and how that ties into connection to country and the storytelling from our artists, and then just some really big praises. And then we've got at the bottom of each page is this same footer. So just drawing your attention to this little section here. Hopefully you can see, I probably should have got my little spotlight arrow going, but I'm sure you can see the let us know any suggestions and the submit feedback forms and sharing case studies. So that is at the footer of every single page. So you're able to have a look at it that way. So when we scroll back up to the top, the other key section just on this top pillar that I thought was really important to share with you all today is a glossary. I don't know how many other people, when you start in new roles, I've recently got a new starter with me, and we use acronyms a lot, and we use them. They roll off the tongue because to us, we know what a PBC is or an LUR or an RNTBC because that's our jobs. Whereas obviously for other people new to this space or aren't kind of as familiar, they might not have the same understanding of terminology. So we've tried to provide this glossary here as to definitions or key terms that are used, so that on your journey, if you're ever unsure, you can refer back to the glossary to kind of understand those definitions. And these definitions have come, as you can see, from where they've all been referenced from. So it just, again, helps with your education and learning journey. And particularly it's great for new staff working in this space because, as I said, we all use terminology and acronyms all the time. So it just gives you a little bit more of an overview of that glossary function. So then homepage, always you can click back on the actual title itself, Kolbang Yanginy, and it'll take you straight back to the homepage. And then when you can scroll down there, and we've got a little bit of a, just a 101, 4 quick bullets about how, that we feel that this resource can help you. And if you're just wanting to get started, you can click straight on the getting started on your journey checklist, and it'll take you straight there. So it kind of just gives you a little overview. And then when you scroll down, I'm just going to have a little quick pause here. You'll see the 5 key pillars here, the 5 key themes, and then they are replicated up the top here. So there's 2 different ways, and people navigate websites and resources at their own pace. It's much like their own ways of working. So we've tried to offer those opportunities for how people would like to connect and engage. So if you are a visual person that likes to look at the colours and click through, you can click through the reconciliation pillar, click on the learn more, which I'll do that in a moment, takes you to the homepage, or you can click straight into one of the subcategories. Or if you're kind of someone that just likes to look at the top line and doesn't want to scroll too far, these will take you to the exact same pages. So there's just 2 different navigation tools there for you to work your way through. So that just gives you a little bit of an overview of that front landing page. The case studies are on a carousel. Shout out to, I probably could have made that arrow a little bit bigger. Text and iteration, one of our wonderful Shire of York, they did a cultural burning one. We're like, we can't find our case study. Click on the little carousel and they'll come through and they rotate through. So there's case studies, there's links to videos that we found useful in the work that we do. And then one on our collaboration with Purple and the artists. So lots of different case studies through there that can support you on your journey. And then right at the bottom of each page, again, this is a footer, is a link to the interactive map, which supports your work on identifying the traditional country you're working on, LUAs and native title agreements. So that's kind of the standard homepage. And obviously people are probably going, yeah, we could have worked that out ourselves, but sometimes it's nice to hear from somebody else and have a little look at it. So these 5 pillars, I guess, they have almost been designed as a little bit of a journey. Now, we completely recognise that if you are working in planning or if you're working in native title or heritage and you're coming here for a specific reason, we don't expect you to wade through reconciliation and all of these case studies. This isn't a certification course. You're not going to get a glossy document at the end that you can put in your resume to say, I ticked off and completed it. However, if you do have new staff or it is something that piques your interest, or for those working potentially in the reconciliation or cultural capacity space, we encourage you to review the website kind of in a flow. So start in the reconciliation pillar, start on the getting started, and just follow this lovely little loop. The design behind that is we're hoping that it'll take you a little bit more on a journey of understanding the space of connecting people, connecting communities, connecting place, which is kind of these first pillars. Then we kind of look a little bit more broadly across the state around partnership models and obviously tapping into the state. So we move a little bit out of place into state. And then we move into the people pillar about how obviously you can look at ways that you can foster more representation, cultural understanding, cultural competency, and the cultural load, and being aware of what cultural load is within your local government. And then I guess right at the end is, and it's not at the end for any other reason than it's native title and heritage, and it is what it is. That is the nuts and bolts of, all of the native title and the legislation and the links to understanding that documentation, both federally and at a state level. So yeah, it is kind of a nice little learning journey. And I think it's a great way for you to build your education and understanding of I guess, for what we all see as key learnings for reconciliation in place. So I don't want to click through every little one because I think everyone on here will be like, we don't need a tour 101. But each one, when you click on learn more, takes you to a landing page. And then you get another little snapshot of what that pillar's about and what those key themes are going to talk. And then again, you get the 4 truth pillars underneath there. So for instance, if we go to truth telling, and then you can click through and get a little bit of background on truth and healing and acknowledging Australia's shared history. We provide these are hyperlinked, so you can click in and hopefully they open in a new tab as opposed to opening up. This is going to happen. Yeah, and then you can, so it doesn't, hopefully I've managed to do that all. I hate it when websites, you click on a link and then suddenly you can't find where you were on the website. They open in new tabs so that you can bookmark that to read later and go back to continue your journey. And then you've got that there should you want to look at it at any time. So they're all your hyperlinks listed in there. And you'll see that on every page as much as possible, because a key aspect of this was not to replicate information already available. We wanted to make sure we were just bringing together information that you could already find, but in a one-stop resource. So if you do find other incredible learnings, please do share with us. So that, yeah, that's why as many things as possible have been hyperlinked and will take you to other resources. So it saves a little bit of your master Google or your chat GPT searches, because you should be able to, instead of saying, tell me a little bit more about truth telling, we should be able to have everything here for you to support the work that you're doing. And then any of the case studies submitted that kind of intersect with that pillar, so in this instance, reconciliation and truth telling, have also been duplicated on this page. So like have been shared on this page. So you can read, you can listen to the video on the Wadjamat project, the Walyat Billy, City of Swan's done an incredible Marley place naming project, which their artwork captured me every single time. And obviously of recent times, the beautiful renaming of Gallup with Lake Munga. And if I do have, I know City of Albany has done some incredible work as well. In fact, they were the first, I think, with over 50 sites. I think Tammy's on the line. Yeah, I can see her flashing up there. So we'd love to get a case study from City Albany, and huge congratulations to the Shire of Denmark that recently announced some dual naming or some renaming of sites. It warmed my heart. We're connecting with them a lot. So it's great to see the work you guys are doing. So I'd love to see some case studies coming through that we can share on that collaborative process. And, you know, and the case studies need to be raw and real as well. They're not just glossy documents that show the successes. We really want to hear from you too, you know, like some of the bumps in the road and some of the ways you might have gone in with an initial idea and then had to pivot and go, actually, that didn't work as easily as we thought it would, because that's what keeps it real and that's what keeps it relevant, and that's where you, everybody can learn on this journey. So as I said, that is the way. And then right at the bottom, all of those links that I talked about that were up the top in the document, they're also down the bottom. So that, you know, again, depending on your learning style, depending on how you like to read, you can just scroll to the bottom and open all of these tabs up and work your way through these tabs if you're someone that doesn't like to read content. So we've tried to kind of provide multiple different ways for you to access the information depending upon how you like to learn and navigate. And then to go to the next subcategory, you just click next at the bottom. And then that takes you all the way to some information around, this is about Reconciliation WA, so I won't make it about us. So that gives you a little overview of that. As I said, to navigate back, you can go back here, or say we now want to go to placemaking. We can go to the top of the placemaking, and this photography at the top here, just a reminder, is all from Rob and Jean. So absolutely hope I can visit all these places in time. So again, without going through each one of these, I hope that's given you a little bit of understanding of how to navigate through and a little bit of the process or how we'd like to envisage you utilising this platform and sharing in this journey with us. But obviously, everyone would navigate it as they do, and we all like to do things our own way. And we encourage you to give us feedback about what's worked, what hasn't worked, what you'd like to see. The other exciting aspect here, which we spent quite a bit of time on, went back and forth on, and obviously we've tried to, it is the first of its kind in WA, was create this interactive map. I will just like put out there from the get-go, it's different for everybody how you're going to view this map and how you're going to read this map. And we internally had lots of conversations around the right format. Initially, it was a very pretty map. I'm happy to say it was pretty, and they had lots of the artwork on there and you could click on it, but it didn't actually give you a lot of the nuts and bolts that you need if you're working in local government to go, actually, I really need to understand the intersections with native title or with an LUA and who my local organisations are or PBCs I should engage with. So we know that the map, there's probably a lot of room to add to it. There's a lot of room to refine it, and that's part of the journey that we will go on. But for the first of its kind, really huge hats off to Winyama for what I think they probably, I think they're still talking to me, but this is how it looks. So when this is kind of, the landing page. So I guess the first thing that you see, and we were really, I guess it was one of the underpinning values that we wanted to see, was to provide you at a glance. You know, there's 139 local governments across WA, but there's just as many traditional countries across WA. And so it's that gentle reminder or nudge that when you're working in place and in country, yes, you know, and we break those up. Correct me if I'm wrong, local government people, I think it's 9 regions across the state. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. So, you know, we break them up into those regions as well. But there's such intersectionality when you're dealing with mob and dealing with Aboriginal custodians about traditional country. And so we've really tried to replicate those maps. I do just want to caveat, and I think it comes up in the, sorry, and I clicked through it, the acknowledgement. It's also really important for us to share that the actual boundaries of traditional country, the local Aboriginal people in place will tell you that it's actually just that hill over, you know, it's just that tree across that hill where our country ends and, you know, Yamaji country starts. So we understand that those nuances still exist in place and still exist within Aboriginal communities. And we also recognise and understand that some of the boundaries or the native title determinations and ILUAs are still being contested or are still being discussed in community. So we do want to acknowledge and recognise that. This map and the work that we've done has not been done as, I guess, an overarching governance. It's using what is the actual information out there at the moment that has been provided to us and those boundaries, but we do recognise in place they might be slightly different. And so we encourage you to reach out to your Aboriginal organisations or traditional landowners if you're ever uncertain about, you know, where obviously traditional country starts and another country might begin, because it is so beautiful in place to really see that connection. And it is quite often, I've been privileged to be at a few of those sites where they literally have said, oh, you know, you've got to cross 2 hills over and turn left, and then there's this beautiful flowering tree, and then that's where our, you know, that's women's country, and then that's where our boundary stops. So there's so much more nuances to traditional country than you can capture or that you can share in a map. And we really encourage you as much as possible to get on country to experience those. But back to utilising this map, stay with me, folks. Up here is the three little lines, I guess that's the word. And so this has got a little bit of a how to use and on here as well. So it gives you another link to the map, a bit of a how to use, so how to navigate back and forth. And this has obviously been provided by Winyama. Again, we've got a glossary in here for the terminology that is utilised within the map. So again, talking, you know, because quite often we all love to use acronyms. So what is an ILUA, an NTDA, but particularly where you might see in the pop-ups things around RATSIBs and where is it down here? Native Title Determination Area Overlap. So there's, you know, I really encourage you to have a good read of this if you're working in that space where there's overlaps with local government areas and all of this was acquired from the government sources. So again, it's not something that has been created internally. We have utilised sources that is already readily available and linked those into the map. And then it obviously hyperlinks you back to the Kolbang Yanginy, like the homepage glossary, which is up here, should you need to do so. The other key thing is if there's questions about, well, where did you get your data set from? Where's the data coming from? And particularly, there will be some questions, I'm sure, around my local Aboriginal organisation isn't showing on the map. We completely recognise that there is probably in excess of 100, 200 more local place-based Aboriginal organisations that you will connect in with that may not be on this map. And the reason that they're not on the map is we had to choose a data source that was public facing and readily available to remove any of that, what do you call it, that bias, that unconditional bias that I might have. So for instance, I know that there is an Underluff Aboriginal Association in the Shire of Augusta Margaret River, and I know that there is Langford Aboriginal Association in Perth. However, I may not have as much knowledge of where there's other unique, similar size organisations operating in Kununurra or in Geraldton where I haven't had the privilege of being able to connect into. So it was really important for us that we had some parameters about how we would share those Aboriginal organisations on this map, and we know that that may need refining. So we pulled all of that data from ORIC, and again, I know it's not the best data source, but it's all we've got, folks. So if someone knows other sources that we can use, please do share. And also, similarly, if you're working with Aboriginal organisations, if they ORIC, my understanding, is free to register on. So if you register onto ORIC as an Aboriginal business, in future iterations, you'll meet those category filters. So you'll be able to be shown on the map. I hope that's making sense, and reach out to me if it doesn't. But we just needed some data source. Otherwise, it was going to be very he said, she says, and that in its term was not the essence. It wasn't meant to be a personal venture. So back to the actual map. This button here is a share feature, which is pretty exciting, and I tested it today. So when you're navigating through, if you do find it and you go, God, I really want to email this to myself so I don't forget, you can email it to yourself. If you're that person that likes to put everything on X or Facebook, you can do a share on post, and please tag us in. You can share it on LinkedIn. I'm not sure where that shares it. That gives you a QR code, so you can download a QR code if you're wanting to put it into a presentation as you go through the pages to share with your internal teams. And I don't know why you want to create a Pinterest board, but if you did want to create a Pinterest board, you can. My Pinterest boards at the moment are all around sales that I'm going to be shopping. But, you know, go you. So this is, again, just the overview. The reset button is down here at the bottom. Little man that goes, help. Accessibility menu, if you need help with accessibility features, is there as well. And then you've got your plus and minus button if you want to make it bigger, minor if you want to make it smaller. And if you kind of get really lost and you've gone in and gone out and you can't remember where you're at, you can click the home button and it'll take you back to this home page. So that's a little bit of a run through, and we understand for navigation in maps it's quite different, though we know that there's a few different ones out there. Quick little couple of ways you can use it. I hope I'm still going all right for time. I was like, we're never going to fill all this time. I can talk for days, clearly. So let's just say, and I'm going to click on this big bit of land right here, and it comes up that I'm in the language group area of the Martu people. If you click across, it tells me the local governments that intersect with this space as well. They're not hyperlinked at this point in time, and it was a feature we'd love to see potentially down in future iterations, but I do know that we all know how to cut and paste. So I do know that we all are pretty able to kind of copy and paste quite easily if you want to find out more. It's probably going to show you all the things I've Googled before, so let's maybe not do that. Nothing too scary on there. So there's always that feature as well. The other way that you can navigate is if you click into the Pilbara and you double click. So you'll see I clicked. I'm just going to go back so I'm not doing it too much. You can click and then you can double click and it zooms in even more. And you can click double clicking and it'll keep bringing it up until you get to this boundary. So there's ways for you to just continue to zoom in as much as you might need to. If you want to undock this because it's in the way and you want to see what's at the bottom there, you can just click this undock and then you can move this so it's not sitting in the corner there, and then you can go back to home. So that's one way to navigate, which is from that top level. The other way is you can search, and I did mention before that I live in the wonderful coastal town of Rockingham. Shout out to, is Michelle online, Michelle Sultan or her team? I think we've got some City of Kwinana. You're close enough. I visit you all too. So you can zoom in to Rockingham and it'll take you straight there. It takes you right to the bottom layer when you search, which is the Aboriginal organisations working, which again, we recognise there's so many more than this within your local community. It's the ORIC. You'll see currently this is only showing local government names. Just click this little expand box. Ta-da, it's like magic. And all of these local government, all of these Aboriginal organisations have then all listed up here. So this is the Train Our People Indigenous Corporation, which so you could find out more about them and copy and paste it to search them. You could then go, well, that's a really deep level. I don't need to look that deep. So you can, I could probably bring up Google Earth and show you my home, but I won't. But you can then continue to zoom back out again and then get a broader view. If you then, so go back to home. So then let's say, have we got anyone online? I saw Tammy was here. Here we go, Albany. So then if you click on Albany on the left-hand side of the navigation bar, I guess this is the nuts and bolts bit that we also wanted to bring up for you. And so you can see it zooms straight into Albany. It's given you the borders of the Albany. It's given you the local government name, City of Albany, the ILUA or the regional corporation operating down. So you've got that's actually spelt the wrong way around. It's not the WAGLI, it's the Waggle Kep Southern Noongar Aboriginal Corporation, the traditional homelands of the Noongar and the Menang people. And then if there was any native title applications or overlays or determinations, they would show up in there. And I recognise that Southwest native title is a ILUA, not a native title, so it's not in there. And then it's telling you the RATSIB, go back to your glossary page, those of you, for the Southwest Aboriginal Land and Sea Council overseas is the RATSIB for City of Albany. Down the track, we've just added a box in case we want to hyperlink things in future iterations. It's nice to do it now so that we don't have to do it later. And then obviously you can minimize that. And then because we've undocked it, you can dock it and move it back up there and then have a little bit more. Again, if you click on this box here, it'll come up again to the side. So you're getting that, I guess, viewpoint. And this might be the bit that actually I've really had a look at this. I want to share with, I've been chatting to someone that's working up in Broome and they don't know where Albany is, so I'm going to email it to you and you can just share that and then they'll get a link directly. I should try, I don't know if I can share to put it into chat, but here we go. If we copy it and I pop it into chat, I think what it does is it just gives someone that direct link to go to where you were dropping that pin. So it gives you that opportunity to share it, which is a great feature too, because sometimes you're trying to share things and it's there that way. Obviously, it's got the corporations that are in Albany and it'll zoom straight in. So you're getting this little bird's eye view, a little bit super scary, Google Earth, come right into your location. And you can see just a little bit more information on that's come from the ORIC platform on what's this, the Albany Aboriginal Corporation. And then reset takes you back home. So, or reset down the bottom here. And that does take you all the way back out to the intro. So that is me. I think I'm going to stop sharing and open up. And apologies, Christina, I said there is no way I can use all of this time.
You've done a wonderful job. Thank you so much, Francine. And just this too, Hannah and I have looked at this so many times, but actually sitting and listening to you go through it all is quite humbling. And it's no surprise that this project has taken so long to develop. And I'm sure people online appreciate as well that Aboriginal community engagement is dynamic and needs to be done in place and sensitively, and it's all about relationships. But it is also shaped and determined by multiple layers of legislation governing country and organisations that is enormously complex, and that can affect relationships as well. So it is really great that we've now got this resource that we can build on into the future that brings together information not just from government or not just from not-for-profits or local government, but also interstate, where there might be organisations that have got sort of more developed or unique kind of approaches that might give us ideas and inspiration for new ways of working. So we really hope that you'll find this really impactful, practical, useful. I'll just open it up for questions if anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask.
I did see your question in the Q&A, Bridget. So yeah, I think it might be on our Rec WA website. I've stopped sharing while I have a look, but otherwise we can definitely get that video to you. We do have some digital flyers coming, which might be a little bit more helpful than my PowerPoint presentation, but I'm happy to connect with you as well and share any resources you need. And we do have planned for some printed assets. I'm not a huge advocate for printed assets because I like to save the trees, but we have some digital assets that we can certainly share with you that you can share with your team as well to understand. And I actually might see about putting them in a little bit of a booklet and because we've currently got them as individual slides, but we are sharing a lot of the information too around each pillar on our social media. So they will be coming out weekly on Rec WA, and I'm presuming WALGA potentially, I think they're going to be sharing them. So if you kind of follow this iteration with us for the next kind of 10 weeks, and each week, I think it's on a Tuesday each week, but don't hold me to the look on our page, you'll be able to see kind of a little bit more of an understanding of the reconciliation pillar that you can tag and share with your council and team as well.
WALGA would also really like to encourage you to share this with your colleagues and your stakeholders across communities. So please, if you can help us promote the resource, we'd love that, and love to see as many people making use of it as possible. I also just want to raise awareness for those online who might not be familiar that we have a very active and passionate local government reconciliation officer network. Currently, we've been mainly working on a Google Group platform. People are asking lots of questions around and asking for examples of cultural protocol policies and really pragmatic things that potentially aren't necessarily published or publicly available, but you can connect with colleagues across the sector and ask for advice on how you've actually managed to deliver some of these initiatives and build that cultural capacity across your organisation. So I've just popped in the chat. If you'd be interested in joining that network, you can just write to community@walga.asn.au. That will get to Hannah and myself and Beck, our colleague. We will join you to that network and you can follow the chat, and that's a really lovely, warm, supportive group of officers. We'll be looking to set up regular quarterly meetings of that network ongoing, and so jump online, send me an email if you'd like to join that network, and we can get you included in the discussion.
Chris, can I?
Yeah, please go.
Yeah, so thank you so much for Rec WA and all the other partners for this project. It's an absolutely fantastic achievement. I noticed that Jodie's joined us online, yes. So I just wanted to offer Jodie the opportunity if you had a few words.
Oh, I've been usurped, have I, Hannah? I'll spotlight off me.
No, don't need to. I think you've had, hello everybody, great to see you. And yes, I'm Jodie, I'm the CEO at Reconciliation WA, and I just do a big shout out to Francine, who's expertly guided you through the resource, and I really do need to honour her work, particularly on this on behalf of our team, but also it wouldn't have been possible with all the without all the partners, and also of course Lotterywest, who funded this resource and really saw it as a coming together of all the resources, particularly all the fantastic case studies, because we always know that many people have walked the path before, and there's no point starting on a blank page when so many good folk are doing great work out there. So to those who we've already featured, congratulations, but also if you've got great stories to share, this we'd love to hear from you. But thank you to WALGA, thank you to all of you. We'd love to see 400 people on the next briefing, because we know from 139 councils that there's lots of work to be done. And I will just reflect on, I think we're heading into a very unique period in the state, and that is that we have 2026 starting next year in Albany. So Tammy, great to see you online with our bicentennial, and we must acknowledge for Mob that's not necessarily, well, that definitely isn't a celebration, the moment of colonisation, but it is a moment for reconciliation. And of course that flights through to 2029 in Perth and 2031 out in York, where they're doing the first inland settlements. So place-based truth and the Aboriginal story and the power of place is really going to come to the fore over this next 6-year horizon. And I'd like to sort of plant a seed with everyone online that we know a huge amount of reconciliation happens in place, and the power of local government within that cannot be understated. And really think about how you can lean into this opportunity for this next horizon, because what we would like to achieve by 2030, post the bicentennial, is a very different narrative for the next 200 years of Western Australia to what we've had for the first 200 years. And that has to be done through a collectivism model. And so we really honour the work you're doing in your local governments, and we will continue to walk alongside WALGA to continue to provide those resources to assist you. So thank you. It's been our honour to work on this project, and a shout out to everybody involved once again, including Department for Premier and Cabinet, Department for Planning, Lands and Heritage, and Department for Local Government,
Industry
and regulation. There you
and
go.
safety.
We're getting Legiers, that's right, and the crew. I know, I'm sure they're online, but thank you very much. And I am getting better at all the post-implementation review departments. So I promise by the next time I'll have that mastered. So thank you, everybody, and we're here to support you. And if you're not members already of Reconciliation WA, can I do a big shout out that we are a member organisation, and we'd love to welcome you into membership as you continue on your journey. So please get in touch with us if we can assist further. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jodie. Thank you, Francine, as always. And thank you to all of you for joining us on this webinar. We really appreciate your attendance. We know there's lots of things competing for your time at the moment as we rush into the Christmas period. So good luck to you all with all the hard work you're doing, and I wish you a very safe and happy Christmas period if I don't see you again. And please get in touch if there's anything we can do to support. Thank you.
Thanks.